Hello and welcome to the Barn Theatre. It is Friday 29th of May. I'm Benjamin Collins and welcome to the Bard from the Barn Weekly Review. As always, I'm here with Aaron Sidwell, one of the producers of Bard from the Barn. And Aaron, this is a special week, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. This is all about Shakespeare's ladies this week. Yeah, that's right. We are celebrating some truly formidable women.
Yeah, and it's a really interesting topic in the Shakespeare land, right? In the intellectual world of Shakespeare, the topic of women is a contentious and interesting one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to start with, did you know that there's 7 times as many male roles as there are female roles in all Shakespeare plays? I mean, in fact, to be honest, in Shakespeare's day, he didn't even have women in his theatrical companies. It was the women were played by young boys.
Yeah, well, and I suppose nowadays we're starting to flip that on its head. Lauren Samuels, for example, plug for Henry V, playing boy, is just one example of many, many, many gender reversed roles, whether it's in casting or actual characters and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, we absolutely we have seen that, and we've started to flip some stuff on its head. I think one of the truly defining moments in theatre was when we first saw a woman play Hamlet, because Hamlet has more lines than anybody in any Shakespeare play. In fact, he has over 1,500 lines. He has 1,569 lines. Mental, and comparatively. The female role with the most lines is Rosalind, and she has 721 lines. So literally over half the amount that Hamlet has. So that's kind of where we're at in terms of doing Shakespeare and including women. And actually, we have our very own Rosalind on the show today. We have Grace Liston talking about her performance as Rosalind later on.
Yeah, we've also got Sophie May Wake in an absolute corker of a film as Lady M, the famous Lady Macbeth, one of Shakespeare's most famous characters, I would say, today. Who else have we got?
We've got Sophie Louise Hughes, who's going to be talking to us about her Juliet. And of course, she was at the Barn with a little voice, and we're going to be chatting to her about some of the comparisons between Juliet and LV, the character she played in Little Voice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. Rebecca Jayne-Davies, of course, as well, will be talking to us about how her character went all Dominic Cummings and broke lockdown. Topical.
She did indeed. She did indeed.
Yeah.
But first off, we have the absolutely delightful Alicia Charles with us, who brought us her character in this, who actually coincidentally is the female with the second most lines. She, of course, brought us Cleopatra.
We are here with Alicia Charles. Alicia, how are you?
Hello, I'm really good, thank you. How are you doing?
Awesome. Yeah, no, I'm well. I'm well. A little
good.
Bit around the edges, but I'm good. You know.
Yeah. I mean, that's normal, to be expected right now, I think.
I think so. I think so. We're sort of going into more of a normal, which feels better. So, things are sort of normalizing a little bit, which is nice.
Good.
So the last time you were physically here at the Barn Theatre, you had, quite topical for this week, you played 3 gender-reversed male roles in Henry V, Bardolph being one of them, and now you're taking on one of the most iconic roles, iconic female roles in all of space and time. So, this is where we're at, and what's it been like playing Cleopatra? From such a departure.
It's, very, very different to Bardolph, I guess, in that she's so full of passion, and the contradictions that she has with her passion and her power, and they go between the two and everything. She's a different character entirely to Bardolph and Williams, but in the way that is the same is that with Williams had a lot of passion for what as a woman, she felt about war and everything. Cleopatra has a similar sort of passion about the way she feels about Antony. I think you can bring the same level of intensity to any role, I think, depending on what you feel most passionate about.
Earlier in the Bard from the Bard series, I played Mark Antony, but in Julius Caesar, and he's this incredibly measured and controlled person. But in this play, Antony and Cleopatra, he's much older, and he's sort of a shadow of the person that he used to be. And the implication we get in the text is that this great, uncontrollable, passionate love that he has for Cleopatra is what has weakened him. And I think that Shakespeare, from time to time, had a tendency to do this with women. The right woman could sort of really empower a man, whereas the wrong woman could sort of rob him of his amazing power. You're a very modern woman yourself, Alicia Charles.
I am indeed.
And as a modern woman, how does that sit with you, and how does that create a struggle when you approach a character like Cleopatra?
I mean, I would argue immediately that he hasn't lost any power because he's in love. I would definitely say that maybe he's got a different kind of power now. Okay, maybe he's not like so. I don't know how to put it, but straight thinking. But I think the right woman can fuel the right man in different ways. And they can empower each other, which is what I think they did. I mean, I know it's not really a happy ending, but I do think that they gave something to each other that nobody else had, which is kind of enviable, and brings a private kind of power to the two of them that nobody can come anywhere close to. So
absolutely,
I would approach it in that way, yeah.
Well, we are going to go and check out Alicia's video now. This is Alicia Charles playing Cleopatra.
No noblest of men won't die. Hast thou no care for me? Am I to abide in this dull world, which in thy absence is no better than a sty? It were for me to throw my sceptre at the injurious gods, to tell them that this world did equal theirs, till they had stolen our jewel. All's but naught. Patience is sottish, and impatience does become a dog that's mad. Then is it sin to rush into the secret house of death, ere death dare come to us? How do you, women? What? Good cheer. Why, how now, Charmian? My noble girls. Oh, women, look. Our lamp is spent. It's out. Good girls, take heart. We'll bury him. And then what's brave, what's noble, we'll do it after the high Roman fashion and make death proud to take us. Come away. This case of that huge spirit now is cold. Ah, women. Come. We have no friend but resolution and the briefest end.
Rebecca, hi, how you doing?
Hey Aaron, nice to meet you properly.
Yeah, it's lovely to meet you. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. One of the things that's always really struck me when it comes to working with classical text and musical theatre performances, there's this snobbery about it. Like, but I don't really get it, because obviously this text particularly is poetry, and poetry in its most kind of modern day form is music. So the two just kind of mash together so beautifully. Have you found as a performer that there is a difficulty in that in gaining that crossover?
Yeah, I think do you know what I think half of it is though? I think half of it can be your own sort of mental perspective on it. I think if you kind of feel like there is this snobbery, which I know has been very apparent in the past, but I do think that those barriers are getting broken down more and more as we go on, which is great for the likes of, you know, actors which do sing and dance and do all the works. But for me, like, acting's always been the primary focus, whether I've been singing, whether I've been dancing. And so for me to have that sort of snobbery or maybe minor discrimination, I guess, like, it doesn't really make logical sense, because I think to be a good singer or a good dancer, you've got to first and foremost have that acting capability. Otherwise you're just watching someone do some fancy vocal tricks or dance moves and there's no substance behind it. And to me, I'm kind of not interested in that. I always kind of would rather be the better actor than the most incredible singer or dancer in the world. So yeah, I do recognise that has been a thing, but I do think that hopefully as we go on and on, everyone's kind of crossing over and getting to do every kind of part of what we love doing, which is really nice.
That's awesome.
Really nice.
That's awesome. This speech in particular, it's like when we think of Othello, we think of female roles, we think of Desdemona.
Yeah.
What was it that drew you to approach this speech in particular?
Well, I'm not going to lie. I definitely had a bit of help with she's ex-flatmate now, because they've moved back up to Scotland because of, you know, all the chaos that's been happening. But she's quite in tune with her Shakespeare. And I love Shakespeare. I was really, really lucky to get to do Midsummer Night's Dream up at the Crucible in Sheffield. So I am familiar with it, but actually for me, the course that I undertook, we didn't have any formal Shakespearean training. So I've kind of had to pick it up as I go. Like, I did a little workshop of Antony and Cleopatra, and I had a friend that had done Shakespeare, so I sat down with her and learned all about the iambic and the little rules and stuff like that. So it was actually my mate Joanne, if she watches this, okay? I kind of spoke to her about if she knew any really good female speeches. So she kind of gave me a list and I looked at them all. And then I actually saw Emilia at the Vaudeville last year, which I just thought was the most incredible play. And within that, they have a scene where they're first rehearsing Othello, and the character of Emilia is deemed to be based on the actual factual character of Emilia. And so when I read it, I was like, oh, I know where this is from. And then reading it, it's just such an empowering speech for women. And I mean, at the time it was written, you know, there was huge sexism. So it was quite an out there thing for a woman, even in a play, to say. And I know that it was kind of slightly taking the PI55 within the play. Shakespeare was kind of saying something more about the woman that he knew, Emilia, and how outspoken she was and how he didn't quite agree with it. But especially in this day and age, I think it's really relevant because women have so much of a voice. They have so much more of a voice. And so that kind of drew me to it more, I think, the fact that it is so empowering to say, and it means so much, and it's mainly about equality, which I think is a really important subject.
Yeah, well, that's the good thing about good writing sometimes, is that it has so many different, it's like a lens, you know, wherever you're at, you can use it to express something. Right, so Becca, we're going to go straight into your video now. This is Becca as Rebecca Jayne-Davies as Emilia from the play Othello. Let's go.
But I do think it is their husbands' faults if wives do fall. Say that they slack their duties and pour our treasures into foreign laps, or else break out in peevish jealousies, throwing restraint upon us. Or say they strike us, or scant our former having in despite. Why, we have goals, and though we have some grace, yet have we some revenge. Let husbands know their wives have sense like them. They see and smell, and have their palates both for sweet and sour, as husbands have. What is it that they do when they change us for others? Is it sport? I think it is. And doth affection breed it? I think it doth. Is frailty that thus errs? Oh, it is so too. And have not we affections, desires for sport, and frailty as men have? Then let them use us well. Else let them know the ills we do. Their ills instruct us so.
All right, we are here with Sophie May Wake. It's so good to see you. How's lockdown treating you? Give me the update on the last 2 years. How's it been?
It's felt like 2 years. Good. We have been doing lots of DIY. It's kept us really busy. So slowly doing each room bit by bit.
Feels
so
like everyone's
mainly been doing
that. Anyone with a house has been working a lot on the house. I think it's not a bad thing to be doing at the moment, I suppose. I know that my parents have been getting some decking done.
That's next on our list.
Right, well, there we go. So I wanted to ask you about the sort of weight of the Lady M role. What was the process of sort of arriving at that decision to play Lady M with your director, and what did it feel like to take on such a massive role? It's always going to be daunting, right?
Yeah, I think having a lot of respect for a role really helps, because she's such a powerful character, such a powerful woman. In loads of different ways. She's really strong, and she has a really interesting journey that I've always felt quite connected to. I've always felt like, even from kind of when I was at school reading the play, even to now as an adult, I've always known her story, my story of her. I've always known the version I would want to do. So as soon as I kind of had the chance to choose my own monologue, that was the first thing I could have wanted to do. Yeah, she's my kind of, when you're asked one of your dream roles, she's one of my dream roles. So
I think as well, like Lady M is just this really rare breed in Shakespeare. I took this 4-day acting workshop last year, and one of the girls in the group had cerebral palsy, and she just refused to believe that the play was written for when it was, coincidentally in lockdown, actually in the last kind of UK big lockdown, but she just refused to kind of take on board that it was from then. She just thought that it was such a modern play, because she thought she'd seen characters like this so much, and I was trying really hard to explain to her that they are spawned from Lady M. But I think one of the really interesting things is her role overall in the play, and how she has this huge influence over Macbeth, and then she seems to really feel the weight of what she's done as he becomes less human, and then she sort of vanishes a little bit into even she dies off stage. She's not present. So for you, how do you feel that she is represented overall by Shakespeare within the play?
I think she has such a strong start in the play. She comes from I think she really kind of takes command of herself and her worth, her self-worth as well. There's the whole scene of, unsex me here, which is such a strong and powerful part of the play. And at that point of the play as well, I think women are the kind of the strong force. You've got the witches, and it's kind of they have all the power at the start. And as the story kind of progresses, I think what Shakespeare's he's trying to convey realistic characters. I think it's Lady Macbeth is a good person who's done a bad thing, which is really relatable. And I think that's why it gets to her so much, why she can't deal with it, why she can't process the guilt of it. And I think it's a shame that she kind of drifts into the background and that her death is not made into this prominent scene. It would be, I think, maybe something, if Shakespeare was alive now, it might be his kind of opportunity to change that. I think it would be really interesting. I think it's that kind of, you see a lot more of the men in the second half, of course, but Lady Macbeth's story doesn't get less interesting.
Absolutely. We must, obviously take our hat off to Phil Bartlett, who directed this with you, who did some just absolutely stunning work on this overall. Sophie, it's been our absolute pleasure to have you on the show, and we are going to now go ahead and look at Sophie's Lady M.
12,000 staff redundant.
It's not obligatory for an employer to grant sick leave.
London is a ghost city.
Was the hope drunk wherein you dressed yourself? Hath it slept since, and wakes it now to look so green and pale at what it did so freely? From this time such I account thy love.
Art thou afeard to be the same in thine own act and valour as thou art in desire? Wouldst thou have that which thou esteem'st to be the ornament of life, and live a coward in thine own esteem, letting I dare not wait upon I would, like the poor cat in the adage?
What least wast then that made you break your enterprise to me? When you dost do it, then you were a man, and to be more than what you were, you would be so much more than man. Nor time nor place did then and here, and yet you would make both. They have made themselves, and that their fitness now does unmake you. I have given suck and know how tender 'tis to love the babe that milks me. I would, while it was smiling in my face, have plucked my nipple from his boneless gums and dashed the brains out, had I so sworn as you have done to this.
We are joined by Sarah. Sarah, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. How's lockdown been treating you? Has it been okay?
It's all right. I've got myself a little puppy, so that is keeping me really busy, which is nice. I've got a little miniature dachshund called Neville, so he is keeping me on my toes, which is nice. And I'm just back up north in my family home. That's nice, spending time with my mum.
What an amazing name, Neville the dog. How wonderful.
Neville Longbottom, if you get the Harry Potter pun.
Oh, we Harry Potter fan. I'm currently reading the third book to my children every night. So they're
the true hero of the Harry Potter books, right? Neville. He's
the true hero.
Yeah. He is the real hero.
So one of the things I found with this play particularly is when I studied it at school, I was bowled over by how boring I thought that Romeo and Juliet were, and that it was all the characters around, like Mercutio and Tybalt, that made it the absolute classic that it is. But then I did the play and actually realised what a journey Juliet kind of goes on, and much more than Romeo very much stays this kind of impetuous and instinctive character like throughout, right up until his death. But Juliet really kind of grows up and faces these enormous challenges, and no more so when she's dealing with the speech that you took on. However, with yours, I loved that you still had just such innocence and such youth in there. And was that something that you and Dom really specifically wanted to bring through?
Yeah, that's definitely something we'd like spoke about a lot. We like wanted to like really get that sort of teenage girl like feel to it, especially like with the way like teenagers these days like so aware of the camera, and she's constantly almost like checking how she looks at the same time of like, so like when she's about to record the video, she wants the angle to be right, and like everything's got to be perfect because it's her first love. And yeah, we wanted to like really feel like she is a young girl, and it is a huge thing for her, and like she's feeling all these emotions that just completely overwhelm her, but at the same time like she is a teenage girl, and she's there with her camera like holding it like, do I still look good, do I like is he still gonna want to be with me, and all those worries that normal teenage girls have, not just girls that are about to pretend to top themselves.
The only question I can ask you, Sarah, is about Little Voice.
Here we go.
Sorry, it's just obligatory. But well, I'm wondering whether it felt at all similar approaching Juliet than it did approaching LV. Was there anything that you remember from LV that felt similar? You know, when you were approaching Juliet, they might be similar characters. Yeah.
Yeah, I think like obviously they are similar ages, and I think like they both go through such huge emotional journeys and start like, so like, well, obviously LV starts very timid and small, and the things that happen to them make them erupt with emotion, and it brings out so much that they have to deal with for so young. So I think there was definitely a connection there with those two, where like building those emotions and stuff.
That's awesome. All right, we will go straight into the video. We've teed it up, we've chatted about it, and now let's see this rendition of Juliet by the amazing Sarah Louise Hughes.
Farewell. God knows when we shall meet again. I have a faint cold fear. Thrills through my veins that somehow freezes up the heat of life. I'll call them back again to comfort me. Nurse! Oh, what should she do here? My dismal scene I needs must act alone. Come, Vial. What if this mixture do not work at all? Shall I be married then tomorrow morning? No. No. This shall forbid it. Lie thou there. What if it be a poison? Which the friar subtly have ministered to have me dead, lest in this marriage he should be dishonoured because he married me before to Romeo. Here it is. And yet methinks it should not, for he had still been tried a holy man. How if, when I am laid into the tomb, I wake before the time that Romeo come to redeem me? Oh, there's a fearful point. Shall I not then be stifled in the vault to whose foul mouth no healthsome air breathes in, and there die? Strangled there my Romeo comes. Or, if I live, is it not very like the horrible conceit of death and night, together with the terror of the place? As in a vault, an ancient receptacle, where for these many 100 years the bones of all my buried ancestors are packed, where bloody Tibble, yet but green in earth, lies festering in his shroud, where, as they say, at some hours in the night spirits resort. Is it not like that I so early waking, what with loathsome smells and shrieks like mandrakes torn out of the earth, that living mortals hearing them run mad? Oh, if I wake, shall I not be distraught, environed with all these hideous fears, and madly play with my forefathers' joints, and pluck the mangled Tibble from his shroud, and in this rage, with some great kinsman's bone, as with a club, dash out my desperate brains? Look. Methinks I see my cousin's ghost, seeking out Romeo, that did spit his body upon a rapier's point. Stay, Tibble. Stay. Romeo. I come. This. Do I drink to thee?
All right, we're here with Grace Liston. Grace, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm not too bad, thank you. Yeah, holding.
I like your red background.
Thanks. Yeah, it
really
occasionally
compliments your eyes.
Thank you. It occasionally changes to purple, but that may happen today, may happen tomorrow, who knows. But I wanted to ask you, like we were over the moon when we got your speech through your monologue as Rosalind. I wanted to ask you, like, what was it like taking on such an iconic character from Shakespeare?
Oh my God. So Rosalind is like, it's been my absolute dream to play Rosalind, like ever since I can remember. I remember doing this monologue for some drama school auditions when I was like 18. And so to come back and revisit it now is actually such a treat, especially with Kirstie as well, has been an amazing director. It's a huge role. I think Shakespeare definitely had plans for Rosalind. She was the only female character in any of his plays that was allowed to say the epilogue of the play. So I think as a character, Shakespeare really wanted the world to see her fieriness and her ballsiness and her confidence and ability to go after what she wants and her intelligence. So yeah, it was huge kind of shoes to fill, I suppose. And also I saw Rosalie Craig play her at the National, and it was just everything. Like, I was just speechless. It was amazing. It was just everything.
I think that's really interesting, and I think one of the most fascinating things about her is that really she really comes into her own in the play once she is disguised as a boy, and it's kind of that's, in a sense, to a certain degree, what kind of empowers her for a lot of the play is that she is disguised as a boy. We see a very similar thing with Viola in Twelfth Night, that she is very prominent in the play, but she is disguised as a boy when she does that.
They I think, her and Viola.
Yeah, there's kind of huge similarities between the two.
Yeah. And between the plays as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I love both those plays. Twelfth Night is just an absolute dream. We've got some really cool stuff kicking off our second series with Twelfth Night. It's a really funny play. So for you as a female performer, are you starting to notice the Shakespeare world opening up a lot more? I mean, just talking about Twelfth Night there, obviously the National had their one on recently, and we had Malvolio rather than Malvolio in Tamsin Greig, and that was the first production I ever saw, and I couldn't really imagine it being done any other way. So are you finding that this world is kind of opening up a lot more now?
Yeah, absolutely. And saying about Tamsin Greig as well, I saw Imogen at the Globe with Maddie Hill, so massive shout out to that production. Absolutely amazing. So yeah, I think they are just like really good examples of the sort of female side of these shows, you know, like Cymbeline, like it's named after the king, but actually the whole entire show is about Imogen, really. So why it wasn't called Imogen, not Cymbeline, but yeah, no, I can definitely see changes being made, especially with like all female Shakespeare plays being really, really popular and something that people are really interested by. So yeah, I think for me, especially as like an actor musician as well, like it's just really fun to play around with. Nothing is set in stone, I don't think, in Shakespeare, and I think everything can be, you know, morphed into like
it's very open.
I don't know.
It's written in a very open.
It is open. It is open, and I it's difficult because I think Shakespeare's women are the best characters, and I think in all of modern day plays, all of the characters that we see now being played by women have come from one of Shakespeare's characters originally. You know, your Lady Macbeths and your Cleopatras and you know, what have you, Rosalind. So I think Shakespeare is a really good place to start as a female actor, because the parts are so interesting and so dynamic and quite complex, actually.
Yeah, and it's had so much influence on the Western canon, right, of writing, to the point where we just have to understand it, and we have to sort of. Like you say, it's a really good place to start for an actor or for anyone working with text directors and things like that, because of the influence it's had. Because of the influence it's had.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just so fun. It's just so much fun to play around with different parts, and like it doesn't matter. I think now I look at monologues, Shakespeare monologues, I don't really look at the sex and the gender of them at all. I don't look to think, oh yeah, I'm more of a Viola than I am, you know, a Romeo. You look at the speeches and you just think, yeah, this would be cool. Let's try this out. And I don't think now it's at all seen as a weird thing if you were to go in and do a Macbeth speech instead of a Lady Macbeth speech.
That's very
audition
true. That's a really good point.
You know.
That's a really good point. I think, well, hey, psychological realism will do that, you know? It's any character in Shakespeare, luckily, we're able to sort of relate to, and that's, you know, part of the power of the writing. Right,
yeah.
Grace?
And that's been really nice to see in Bard from the Barn as well, because there's no rules.
There's no rules. No rules. Yeah, absolutely. Who knows where we'll go next? So, Grace, before we go into your video, this is a quick chance to remind you of some of the amazing stuff we have coming up this next week at the Barn. So, Tweedy's Lost and Found is at 12 p.m. every Wednesday. And this one will be a special episode featuring a significant person from Aaron Sidwell's past.
Indeed. Also, do not forget to whip those butts into shape with Disco Fitness every morning at 10 a.m. And, of course, we will be back next Friday evening for our last weekly review of Series 1. So please do tune in then. Thank you so much for watching our weekly review, and we'll leave you now with Grace Liston playing Rosalind from As You Like It.
And why, I pray you? Who might be your mother that you insult, exalt, and all at once over the wretched? What though you have no beauty? As by my faith I see no more in you than without candle may go dark to bed. Must you be therefore proud and pitiless?
Why, what means this? Why do you look on me? I see no more in you than in the ordinary of nature's cell work.
Odds my little life, I think she means to tangle my eyes too. No, faith, proud mistress, hope not after it. It's not your inky brows, your black silk hair, your bugle eyeballs, or your cheek of cream that can attain my spirits to your worship.
You foolish shepherd, wherefore do you follow her, like foggy south, puffing with wind and rain? You are
1,000 times a properer man than she a woman. 'Tis such fools as you that make the world full of ill-favoured children. 'Tis not her glass, but you that flatters her. And out of you she sees herself more proper than any of her lineaments can show her. But mistress, know yourself, down on your knees, and thank heaven, fasting for a good man's love. For I must tell you, friendly in your ear, sell all you can. You are not for all markets. Cry the man mercy, love him, take his offer. Foul is most foul, being foul to be a scoffer. So take her to thee, shepherd. Fare you well. Ooh.
In March 2018, we opened our doors to the public with a vision not just to create challenging professional theatre, but to use this as a platform to inspire and bring communities together. Theatre and culture build identity. With theatre and culture in our local life, the community landscape is more vibrant. Local life is enriched. We believe that the benefits of theatre should be available for everyone. Our Theatre for All programme has removed financial barriers, giving disadvantaged people access to the theatre free of charge.
So we were told that we'd come here and have a Christmas meal and then go and watch A Christmas Carol.
Our aim is to make live professional theatre available to everyone and use that experience for positive change. Theatre can be transformational in young lives. Our academy is now in its 4th year, and we continue to build on our vision of bringing the best performing arts tuition to the heart of the Cotswolds. We work hard to make our academy as inclusive and as accessible as possible. Discounts apply for parents with more than one child. Our bursaries help support talented children from less affluent backgrounds. The Academy creates a fun and challenging environment where children can build friendships and develop key skills not just for theatre, but for life. We are also able to provide real opportunities for students who wish to pursue careers in the arts.
My name is Harry Apps. I am currently playing Marius in Les Miserables in the West End.
Barn outreach and learning programs engage with thousands of people. Our free workshops support the drama curriculum in local schools. Singing and musical theatre workshops in community groups and care homes have helped address issues of isolation. Our Song for Cirencester project in aid of mental health charities brought our community together in an unprecedented way. We've collaborated with many charities in the region, including the Churn Project, to support individuals dealing with the barriers to finding work.
Since working with you, and my life's changed. It's given me some purpose, given me an interest, some confidence I was lacking prior to all this.
The Barn Theatre played a pivotal role in the town's 2018 World War I centenary celebrations. Who could forget our record-breaking Human Poppy? Our live streaming work on the annual Advent Festival helped thousands engage and take part in Cirencester's Christmas festivities. In these times of uncertainty, we strive to keep the community together. The theatre may be temporarily closed, but our commitment to you goes on. Even now, our amazing costume department are helping the NHS by making scrubs for frontline workers. We've used our technology to build a free live streaming service that provides much needed community news and entertainment for all the family, broadcasting every day to keep us all connected. We are not just a theatre. We are the Barn.